Hello and welcome to Buying and Beyond, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of retail buying. We're Kate and Linz, and together we have over 30 years experience in retail.
We'll be talking all things retail buying and beyond, so grab your drink of choice and come and have a giggle with us. Hi everybody, today we're joined by Jayne Lasley, founder of clothing brand Fairlie Curved. Fairlie Curved is a brand that's dedicated to helping curvy women, particularly those with fuller busts, feel and look fabulous in stylish garments that fit and flatter their unique shapes. Jayne is an ex-New Look buyer and is here to tell us all about her story of how she got started with this wonderful brand from her fashion buying days. Jayne, thanks so much for joining us. It's really nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. Shall we just jump straight in then? Do you want to sort of give us a bit of a background as to where you got started, why you wanted to get into buying? I know that you studied fashion as well, didn't you? So yeah, just give us a rundown.
So I suppose if you take it right back to the very beginning, I have always really struggled to get clothes to fit. So I wear a bra size 30 double H, so really small band size, big cup size. Have always loved fashion, but I've always had real struggles to get clothing to fit my shape. Really it's inspired by my mum. She's always been super stylish, always wore fabulous outfits, and just really had a love of clothing and style from her. So knew quite early on that I wanted to do something in fashion. When I started Fairlie Curved, a girl that was in my class at high school in first year messaged me and said, I always knew you would do fashion in home ec when we had to make a tea towel. And you said, I don't want to make a tea towel. I want to make something I can wear. And the teacher was like, if you think you can, you are welcome to try. And I made a pair of hot pants and I wore them every day to PE for my whole first year at high school.
So, wow. Destined.
Yeah. So
that was in Scotland?
In Scotland, yeah, in my first year at high school. So I would have been 12, maybe 12, something like that. Wow. So the teacher was like, if you think you're capable, and I think I brought an old pair of shorts in that I loved and just picked them apart. The teacher helped me make a pattern and then I was like, I'm not sewing a rectangle. I want to make something I can make. I don't want to make a tea towel. I'm not using that.
What am I going to do with the tea towel as well? It's definitely insinuating I'm going to be stuck in the kitchen, and that is not where I am destined to be.
So very early on, I knew that I wanted to do something with fashion. Was very good at art. So left school, applied to study fashion, textile and management at Heriot-Watt University in the Borders. Left Glasgow, moved down to the Borders, lived down there for 4 years, still had my part-time job at Ted Baker in Glasgow at the weekend. So I used to travel back every weekend and work there.
How far's that?
Pardon?
How far's that?
About 2.5 hours away. I don't know what I was thinking, yeah. But maybe not as long, 2 hours maybe. But yeah, I used to every Friday.
Though. You were like, I'm not losing that fashion. I might be moving away, but I'm not losing my fashion edge. Because you must have had good discount as well.
Great discount, amazing. Like you used to get £250 for just uniform allowance.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
It was amazing. And although I studied fashion at the Borders, Galashiels is not exactly a fashionable place, so I kind of needed my trend hit. It was a struggle. Did come back home if they were studying it because it wasn't really student life. It was very quiet. So came back.
I can imagine being the best dressed person on the Borders.
There was a lot of fashionable students down there, but they would usually travel home to Edinburgh or Glasgow at the weekend, and not many of them hung down there for long. So I just knew having Ted Baker on my CV would help me when I graduated, and I pestered the life out of them to try and get some work experience while I worked there. So I went down to London one summer, worked at their head office for 4 weeks just to get work experience, did everything I could to just better my CV. And then when I graduated, so to kind of link with Fairlie Curved, so in my final year, we got the opportunity to do either a dissertation or make a collection. And I thought, well, I'm going to make a collection and I'm going to make clothes that actually fit my chest. So my maiden name was Fairlie, and I called the collection Fairlie Curved. The brand.
Wonderful. What a name. I just think that fits so perfectly. It was like you were destined, as you said. There's so many like things. We're not even that far through your story yet, and there's already so many pointers here just saying like this is what you were meant to do.
And my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, he claims Fairlie Curved was his idea, the name. I'm not
Oh, really?
I don't remember it like that. He claims it was his idea. But yeah, so made this collection. It had, straps designed so that I could still wear my big, huge boulder holder straps, but it maybe looked backless or one shoulder, but had support. Just all the things that I wanted to be able to buy for myself that I couldn't find in the high street that would fit my shape. I graduated with a 2-1, I was always I would say probably studying fashion. I was never really out there. I was quite commercial.
Mhm.
And I probably just quietly got along. Whereas when I did that, we had to design the collection, then you had to exhibit it. So I had to do all my Fairlie Curved branding. And I think then the lecturers were like, oh, actually, this is good. And this is actually quite good.
It's really commercial.
Commercial.
I totally know what you mean when you go to university and you kind of just feel like you have to, you're either a fashion designer that's like avant-garde couture, and then they make you kind of feel a bit like if you're not like that, then you're not going to be a fashion designer. Do you know what I mean? So it's really nice to hear it from the commercial side. And, you don't have to have red hair or like, just completely be wild and have all those wild ideas. It can just be something that's really functional and fits a purpose and helps and, a gap in the market.
Absolutely. I probably felt quite boring. So I probably, through high school, I always felt like I had probably a bit of a different style, but then going to university to study fashion, I felt quite boring. And it probably wasn't until I designed my Fairlie Curved collection that maybe the lecturers noticed as well. Thought, actually, there's maybe something in this. So graduated with a 2-1, which I was delighted about. Got offered a job, just started to apply for jobs. And I believe that experience that I had on my CV from working at Ted Baker and doing the extra, work placements in summer and things like that really helped me stand out. And I got offered a job for a Scottish company, Internationale, which I don't know if you'll remember.
I know a few people from my previous role who've worked there, and it seems to be quite a staple in Scotland.
Yes. So it was Internationale and Au Naturel, which was the homeware side.
Mm-hmm.
So I applied to be the accessories buyer's assistant. And offered the job. So I started that job on the Monday, didn't graduate till the Friday. Loved it, absolutely loved it. And then within 9 months, the teenwear buyer was leaving, and I called into an office and just said, look, we know that you're really early in your career here. You just really graduated 9 months ago. However, we think that you've got something. There's an opportunity to buy the teenwear, and we're going to give you a shot. So I know, which was
exciting.
Terrifying after 9 months, but it's so exciting. I just learned really quickly that if you were a mum buying, you wanted to buy something really easy, like just straightforward. So at the time it was all these printed tops that were selling really well, and there was like a Bengaline bootcut trouser that was selling well. And basically I said to my suppliers, why don't we take the offcuts from the tops that we're making and just put those chiffon fabric printed belts onto the trousers? And then all of a sudden the mums were buying the top and the trouser. And at the time the teen department was only in 13 shops. And because of the sales reaction, and at the time they said to me, don't really worry, it's only in 13 shops. If it doesn't work, it's not a huge loss to the business. If it does work, it could be great. And I think just getting the customer to buy the full outfit just totally turned the sales around, and they rolled it out to about 36 shops, like really quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, phenomenal.
I bet that was such a buzz that give you like the taste for the like success and the, I really, if something's really taken off and it's been my idea and,
And understanding,
really
I was really young, and understanding the customer and just getting that, it was an absolute buzz. So very quickly, they then promoted me to buy the women's wear, but they just split it smart casual, believe it or not. And I've got some funny stories when I ended up going from interview at New Look. just trying to explain this, but it was basically women's wear was basically split down the middle, and somebody bought the smart wear, which was your blazers, your shirts, your workwear, and somebody bought casual, which was your denim and your top, sweatshirts, t-shirts. So I bought the smart wear. So I think probably I bought the teen wear for about, again, I think it was about 9 months, and then I got promoted pretty quickly and I bought the smart wear for a year or two. And then my boyfriend at the time he was playing football and signed for Plymouth Argyle.
Oh, wow.
Moved to Plymouth almost overnight. So as soon as they signed their contract, they basically go. And we had just bought a house together, and I was like, I'm not moving unless I've got a job. And my mum, who's the most independent woman that I know, said to me, are you serious? You're not going to move with them. You've got a house together. How can you not think about it? I was like, I'm not going until I've got a job. I'm not leaving my job until
Very sensible.
Strong.
Yes. So he moved, he went to Plymouth. We obviously still stayed together. We kept in touch. I just scoured the UK trying to figure out how I could move down somewhere near Plymouth.
Yeah.
Discovered that New Look was in Weymouth, and on the map it looked like it was really close together. But actually when I moved down
I guess from Scotland it would, right?
yeah, it was closer to Scotland, but it was still miles away, and it was all cut back country roads. So that was about a 2.5 hour commute. But I got the job, casual wovens buyer, and I moved to New Look, and we lived down there for about 3 years. It was very difficult living so far apart. And the plan was we were going to live in Honiton, which was kind of in the middle, and we were going to commute. But actually, Plymouth's closest away game was 2.5 hours away. We did so much Far East travel, we did so much travel to Turkey, that we would have ended up, so when they had an away game, they would basically travel into a hotel and stay the night before. So, and that was every second week. So every second week I would have been in Honiton, say, by myself.
Yeah.
And when I was doing all of the Far East travel or going to Turkey every 6 weeks, Keith would have been living on his own. And we made really, really good friends, both in Plymouth and in Weymouth. So we just decided, right, we had a flat in Plymouth, a flat in Weymouth, and we basically just travelled in between. So I would go to Plymouth Friday straight from work. He would get a Wednesday off training. So he would come to Weymouth Tuesday, Wednesday, go back Thursday morning. We basically just travelled back.
So did you have like did you have two of everything at the apartments?
And I remember all the guys
that
he played football with were like, why have you got the small telly, Keith? I had all the good stuff. He had all the rubbish stuff. He had all the small TV, the uncomfy couch. I had all the nice things.
Oh, wow.
At least you had double of everything.
Double of everything, I know. Had we been together, I think we probably would have lived down there for a lot longer. And I would say probably my buying career, I really loved it. Keith, it was a much bigger squad, and it was very difficult to get into the team the way that he had been in Scotland. So he quickly came back to Scotland, actually. And I eventually followed him back. We had got engaged when we were living down south. We knew we were going to get married, start a family, and I always wanted to come back to Scotland for that. So Internationale had read that Keith had signed for Motherwell again, and they contacted me and just said, look, there's a senior buyer's job here for you if you want to come home.
Oh my God. My gosh, you're really in demand. That's amazing.
And we've been back in Scotland ever since. So there's not very many buying companies, fashion companies in Scotland anymore. So I ended up working in sales, which I think you've got very transferable skills as a buyer, because when you buy your range, you're obviously having to sell it during sign-offs and things. So the skills were very transferable. So I ended up going into a homewares company on the sales side. And then during the pandemic, I was clearing out the garage, found all my old Fairlie Curved designs, and just thought, and I had thought about, for those 20 years working for other retailers, I had thought about Fairlie Curved all the time. It was always at the back of my mind. Why did I not do that? And then during the pandemic, when I was clearing out the garage, I found it just brought all the regret back. I'm like, oh, should I have done something with that? But I was 40 at the time. I had 2 children. I just thought, I've not got the time or the finances to start a clothing brand. It is just not going to happen. So I sat up all night just doing loads of research and realised there was very few styling pages for fuller bust, small band, big cup. Lots for petite or tall or curve plus size, but not specifically for fuller bust girls, small band, big cup. So the very next day I just thought, right, I'm going to carry on the name Fairlie Curved, started my page on Instagram, called it Fairly Curved, just giving outfit ideas, hints and tips. So things like wear a chunky necklace to draw the attention up above your chest, well-fitting bra, just lots of hints and tips. People still say to me now, I would never have guessed that you were a double H cup, because I've just learned over the years to dress for my shape. I could never find clothes that actually fitted me, but I just learned, how to make do. So started that page and really quickly was gaining followers very, very, very organically and very quickly. And then ladies started to message me to say, Jayne, have you got a clothing brand that we can buy your clothes from? And that same week I lost my job during the pandemic. And I just thought, right, I'm going to do this.
That was the final sign, wasn't it? Like you've got to do this. You're building your community. We've learned so much about building. You have to build your community first. There's so many brands out there that do it the other way around and just struggle. But if you build that community, you learn what they want, you learn what they need, and there's
a demand for it there.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did. So I put a poll up just saying, right, girls, I'm going to do it. I know you've been asking for a while. I'm going to start a brand. What are the items that you really would love to get that you struggle to find? Expecting girls to say anything that buttons, so blouses or dresses or anything. And I was shocked at how many people said, I just want a well-fitting t-shirt. I just want a t-shirt that fits my chest and my waist. And I was like, do that. So with my sourcing skills, I just sourced a really lovely stretch organic cotton t-shirt. I got my sewing machines down from the loft that hadn't seen the light of day since I was at uni, like 20 years ago. And I just
dusted
them off. I sent them to get serviced so they were all okay. And I just, for weeks, just worked on a pattern to try and make the perfect fit t-shirt. And that was how it all started. Almost immediately, we were sending orders to America and all over the world. So we've been trading now for 4 years, and it's been probably the best and the worst. But losing my job was the best and the worst thing that ever happened to me. It was awful losing my job. But I would never, ever be doing this if it wasn't for that. So I've got to be
opened up so much.
Yeah. And just a dream, in your 40s to start it and have success with it. And I think you're right. It's having that community. I can't imagine launching a brand and then trying to find the community, because I was never selling anything from the start. The ladies that followed me really trusted me. And I hope that carries on through still in the brand now. We want, the most important thing for us is that the customers feel seen, heard, they know that they can trust the brand. We add garments that we know that are going to solve problems for our followers and our customers, and that's the main thing rather than just selling.
Absolutely. What an amazing organic growth story. And I think that's going to be so inspirational to lots of people. Just before we talk more about the brand, which I've got a million questions about, if we just dial back to your buying career, what sticks in your mind as your sort of favorite memories, funny memories, or reasons why you wanted to get into buying in the first place?
Yeah, so I probably fell into buying because, like I say, I studied design as well, and it was just that, right, I'm in Scotland, what jobs can I apply for? What jobs are they? So fell into buying, loved it immediately, absolutely loved it. And I remember I was young, so I would be going out as a buyer. I would be going out with had a wee tiny notepad that I used to take clubbing with me, and when I used to see nice garments that people had on, I used to sketch them and then get them faxed over. Remember faxed over to my factories.
Oh, we used to do that.
Oh, love it. I mean, now it's photographs and videos and stuff, but I was tiny to sketch it out.
So much easier now, but wow, having a little notebook and be able to sorry, could you hold my drink a second? Because I just need to. Love that.
Have to in the morning.
That's a true pattern cutter through and through as well.
And when I bought for International, it was almost immediate. We dealt with a lot of UK factories, and I loved that immediate response, to be able to fax off that sketch and get a sample back straight away and then have it on the floor in 4 weeks. I loved that. I struggled with that when I went to New Look. So I remember in my interview at New Look, they said to me, and it was with Tom Singh, he was my first interview. Toddled down to London and he interviewed me. And I remember him saying, and I had just basically cold called them. So when I was looking to get a job near Keith and Plymouth, I was just sending my CV off. I didn't even know if they had a position, but I just sent my CV off. And they called me and asked me to go for an interview in London. And I remember in the interview, he was like, so what department do you buy? like, smart? What does that mean? And I was like, well, I buy everything that's smart. And he's like, everything? I'm like, so what categories do you buy? And I was like, blazers, shirts,
What
trousers,
the-
smart tops. And I remember he was just like looking at the people that were interviewing me, like, is this girl for you buy all of that? And I was like, yeah, I buy all of that.
Yeah.
And then they had given me casual tops as well at the time. I had just been given casual tops too. And they were like, oh my God. They said, well, what we'll need you to do is buy casual trousers. So I basically bought combats, like they're, the All Saints girls were wearing. It was massively on trend. That was all I bought. And I was so bored. I really struggled with it.
After that, massively, like you're spinning plates, you've learned how to put all these processes in to like make sure you can buy everything, and then just to go to one category. Wow.
And I remember being in a meeting and we had like this hour's discussion about the thread colour and the zip colour. And I know how important it is, but at the time I was thinking, does the new look girl care? Like she just wants to fit and feel nice. And why are we spending all this time talking about the thread colour? Let's just get them in, like let's just get it in. So
I love that passion.
yeah, I was so used to just being reactive and instant results. So I struggled waiting so long to develop something, having so many layers of sign off. I mean, I used to go to meetings internationally and literally write orders in the meeting, give the supplier the order, and it would be delivered, the next day. I really struggled with sending all the packs off, waiting weeks and weeks to get the samples back, then going out to the Far East, looking at all the samples there, pulling the range together, signing it off, layers and layers and layers of sign off. I was just like, this is just a pair of trousers, like one pair of trousers, come on. So I struggled with that. And I understand now the importance of it. I understood it then, the importance of it, but at the time I just preferred to be more reactive and get things in quicker.
No, exactly.
Loved both sides of the coin, I suppose. But probably preferred the reactive, quick side.
Yeah, no, that sounds like you had so much more autonomy. Just, making those decisions and putting it out there and testing it and just seeing the live reaction. I think a lot of corporate companies can get bogged down with the process, can't they? And it's becomes a huge barrier.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know, it's important, as you say, to make sure that you've got the right colour and the colours match and things, but sometimes it can go into a little bit too much detail and people get a little bit too carried away with, is it exactly the right tone? Well, actually, as you say, like, I don't know, it's a green pair of combats and it's a green thread. They're not going to be unpicking it. Like, and,
the customer probably won't even notice it.
Yeah, not going to notice.
Yeah.
I know.
So
we used to do floor walks with like, 3 different items. And it's like Devil Wears Prada, isn't it? When it's just like, oh, which green should it be? And actually, they wouldn't see all 3, so it wouldn't matter. So,
exactly. And I do that all the time. If you hadn't seen that one, you would still love this one.
Yeah.
But it's personal in a lot of the time as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Especially for a company sometimes that is a little bit unclear on who their customer is. And I think probably with you having your own business, you've got such a, like you said, you built the community, you've got such a really good idea of who the customer is. It makes those buying decisions so much easier. And I think obviously that even came through from Internationale as well. You clearly knew who the customer was. So there's no deliberation around it, is there? So yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Really
I mean, there are probably parts of it that I maybe need a bit of help with in my own business now because I don't have that sign-off process, because it's me making all the decisions. Sometimes I can be a little bit rose-tinted glasses, and it would maybe be quite nice to have somebody else in just to say, actually, Jayne, do you think that's right? That's probably the hardest thing. And I am quite a positive person. So, when I was saying earlier about your sales skills are transferable because you were having to sell to sign-offs, I'm kind of used to being really positive and, convincing people of things.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think you're only really convincing yourself.
It's hard when you're emotionally attached to it as well. It's your baby, and you can't help but be sort of like, oh, well, I think, and like you say, it's great to be positive, but sometimes you need somebody coming from a completely unemotional point of view and just to kind of really look at it and state the facts.
I had very early on when I had started the business, my dad said to me, how's it going? And I said, it's good, I think, but I've not really got anybody, well, it is good, but I've not really got anybody challenging me on things. And he was a sales executive for IBM for years, so computers, not clothing related at all. And he's retired, and he was like, I can do that for you. And we went for breakfast one morning, and I had all my papers ready to report, and it was the most awful hour of my life because he was brutal, like absolutely brutal. And he just challenged me so much, and it was so good and so worthwhile. But also it was so, because it is so personal to you and you've built it all by yourself, you can't help but feel quite attacked back, you know. And he was obviously only trying to help me, and he was asking all the right questions. And I've been on so many business courses, and it's really the same principles that they put in, no matter what it is in business. It's the same principles, and it was just all of those things, the key lessons that he was trying to give me. But yeah, my dad didn't hold any punches. It was funny.
That's probably better though, isn't it? Because they won't be afraid to offend you because they're a family member. So it's going to be more brutal. Wow.
Yeah, it was good. I haven't asked him again though.
I love it. I love it. So the business has been going for 4 years now. What would you say some of your highlights from the 4 years?
So we've won multiple awards. So we've just won a Chamber of Commerce award. I've won Businesswomen Scotland Startup of the Year award. A couple of months ago, I was in the top. So there was top 100 Scottish businesswomen, and I was in the top 10, which was the final awards. It wasn't expecting to win. And another small brand invited me to go, and I just went on moan thinking, I'll not win this. I was the first winner of the top 10. I was like, oh my goodness, by myself.
Oh my gosh, wow, that's absolutely incredible.
So that was fantastic. We had one of our jackets on Lorraine TV last week, which was phenomenal.
Cool.
So that's probably a highlight. And as a buyer, I was always very much, let's try and get our garments in magazines. I mean, magazines, tricky now, isn't it? But who is actually reading a magazine? I'm not sure. But let's try and get them in magazines. Let's try and get them on TV. And it was always really difficult trying to push that, you know, with marketing departments, trying to get that. When it's just you doing it and your garments get selected, it's the ultimate high, you know, to see your garment.
Totally.
Television. Just unbelievable.
No, it is. It's great. I remember I had one of my I had a blue Christmas tree in my range, and it made it onto This Morning, and I was like, I've made it live. My blue Christmas tree is on This Morning.
Yeah, I can hang up my shoes.
Yeah. Job's done. So yeah, we've had tops on Lorraine. We've had on the Lorraine style fashion bits. We've had loose women wearing our styles.
Oh, great!
So yeah,
have you been putting them forwards, or have they been finding you, or sort of how have you been getting part of
us? Yeah, they found us, which is phenomenal. And then I've just kept in touch with them and said, if you need anything, you know, let me know. We're really keen to, you know, if you need any last minute call offs, let us know. So but they found us to start with, and then just us trying to.
And you've just maintained that relationship with them.
Yeah, just makes such a difference. Small business, it's so hard to get that type of coverage.
Yeah, the social you can get off of that. You probably you can get a couple of weeks of content out of that, can't you? And keep going with it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And do you notice a spike?
Yeah, so the first time, we had one of our tops the first time, and it crashed our website.
Really?
Huge lesson for us. We just weren't prepared for that level of traffic. And the hosting platform that I was with just assumed that we were being hacked and shut the website down, just took it off for 30 minutes. I was like, so huge lesson that we had all that preparation this time. We noticed a huge spike and a huge amount of email subscribers. So the jacket that we had sold out. We've managed to bring it back into stock now, but it's the email subscribers were fantastic from that.
Oh, brilliant! And how many suppliers do you work with? Do you work with quite a lot of different?
Very tight. So because I was a buyer for so many years, I've got some brilliant contacts.
Yeah.
I've got a great story actually. Recently, we wanted to develop some curve-friendly jeans. So because, like you're saying about the name Fairlie Curved, because it is a fuller bust brand, but Fairlie Curved lends itself to being anything and solving any fuller bust or any curve issues. I was trying to develop a really good curve-friendly jean. So I had a few friends that said to me, Jayne, who are busty but very hourglass, so tiny waists, really curvaceous in the bum and the hip, how I would love to be, but I'm not. And they kept saying, would you do jeans? Would you do? I really struggle to get jeans. They're always too big at my waist. They're not high enough at the back. So I was in Manchester meeting one of my suppliers. I stumbled across a showroom. It was all denim, and I had gone in and had said, you know, what rise is this? What's the front rise? What's the back rise? And the guy was like, excuse me, who are you? We don't usually get boutique owners coming in here asking us these type of questions. I think he thought I was like competition or, you know, something. Competitor. He's like, why are you asking what my rises are? And I said, well, I'm actually trying to develop, this is the story, I'm trying to develop a curve-friendly jean, just wondering if you get anything that would fit the bill, da, da, da. And he was like, what's your name? And I said, it's Jayne Lasley. He's like, I know you. I absolutely know you. So he went away and got his laptop and he pulled out this email from like 15 years before. And basically what happened was I was working for, when I was on maternity leave with my son, a company had asked me if I would just do a couple of days a week, but to start their women's wear range. It was a men's brand, so they just said, will you do a couple of days a week? It was I was on maternity and I did it. And this menswear brand had these menswear denim suppliers, and this guy was one of them. And he came up, presented this new women's wear range, which was awful. And I said, I don't think it's going to work. And he was like, well, it's selling out for me. I'm getting great reaction. I said, look, I don't. And he was friends with the owner, so I said, I don't think it's going to work. However, I will do a very small trial, and I'll give you honest feedback if it doesn't. It was a disaster, like I thought it would be. So I called him, and then I talked him through everything, and then I wrote it all in an email and just said, look, this is where I think the price points need to be. This is what's working for me. This is why I don't think yours has worked. Gave him really honest feedback. Anyway, he'd kept that email for like 15 years. And he said to me, normally when things don't work, buyers would just ghost me. They wouldn't answer the phone. They wouldn't give me feedback. He said, the fact that you took the time to phone me and then follow up with an email with all of your feedback in writing, he said, just totally shocked me. And he said, and I kept your email and I read it for years to come. I used to go back and just like read it. And he said, I can't believe you've just walked in here today. So he said, what is it that you're trying to do? And I said, well, I want to do
incredible.
So I said, I want to just develop a good curve-friendly jean that's small in the waist, stretchy and fits at the hips and the bum. And he was like, I'll do whatever you want. I'll do whatever. So he, at his risk, because me as a small business, I couldn't do those minimums with a Chinese factory on denim. I just couldn't do them. And he put the order down, met the factory minimums at his risk. Let me do the fit. Let me approve all the samples. Held all the stock until I called it off.
Wow.
So I've just got brilliant relationships with the suppliers that I've dealt with over the years, and people like that have come out the woodwork like really early on and been so supportive of me. So the main factory that we work with is a UK factory. Carla, who's one of the directors of the factory, was a young designer when I was a young buyer, and her and I were both Virgo. We just clicked. We got on so well, and we've kept in touch over the years. When I was in kind of homewares and sales, we lost touch, and then when I started the styling page on Instagram, she messaged me very early and said, oh my God, Jayne, I love that you're doing this. If this ever becomes anything other than a styling page, we would be more than happy to support you. Get in touch. So then when I started the brand, I messaged her and said, Carla, I'm going to do something. So they're a brilliant UK factory, absolutely brilliant. And their minimum should be about 500 pieces, 1,000 pieces. They do 100 pieces for me, just on the back of the relationship.
That's great. That's absolutely incredible. I mean, buying really is all about building relationships, isn't it? Like, I think you can't really be a good buyer without being like that. Give that positive feedback or constructive feedback. Because look where that's taking you, you know. And I'm such a great believer in trusting the journey you're on as well. So they were meant to come back into your life. It's fantastic.
So I keep my supply tight because I'm working with people like that who have really supported me. And I believe as the business grows, I really want to see my orders grow with them, because I wouldn't be able to do half the things I've done without them. I do struggle to keep up with demand, and to be constantly designing and meeting even 100 pieces at the start was hard to meet. So I do use my sourcing skills, and I'll put in fills of garments that I just know are going to work for a fuller bust. And there'll be some things that I'll buy from wholesale that I'll adapt, and I'll maybe tweak so that it does fit a fuller bust better. Or if it's too low, we'll maybe stitch it, or we'll make some changes to it. So we do lots of sourcing with the UK factory from scratch. We design and do that with them. And then we do quite a bit of wholesale buying, where we'll just buy in fills for styles and fabrics and shapes that we know are going to work. And if we have to adapt them, we will.
Brilliant. So where's all that happening? Is that happening in Scotland?
UK, England mostly. So we do all our printed t-shirts we print in Glasgow, but the garments that we source are from down south. We'll do a few bits from Italy, some bits from Paris, but majority of it is from the UK.
Oh, brilliant. Wow. What a well-rounded business model. So how big's your team then? How many of you are there?
So there's myself, there is Linda, who just works 3 days a week on admin. So she comes in and helps just process orders Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I have Yugoda, who is fantastic, creative. She's an illustrator by trade, has her own business selling prints and cards. She helps me with all of my email marketing and all my social media, so kind of a creative assistant. She's fantastic. I have my mum, who's out of retirement and comes in and packs the orders.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, she comes in on a Monday. Well, she comes in around her social life, so she likes to go out with her friends every Tuesday for lunch and gets her nails done and her hair done, and comes in and packs the orders on the busy day. And we have a fashion student who, there's one of our universities in Glasgow, on the fashion course, the girls or boys there have to do 20 days work experience. So we always get local students contact us and say, will you take us on? And 9 times out of 10, we end up keeping them on if we can. So
Really?
Iris, who works with us 1 day a week, she just comes in on a Wednesday and helps us do some sewing and some other kind of admin in the office. So yeah, it's a small team.
What's your ambitions for the brand?
I would love for it to be, I mean, we are probably the best kept secret. There's not, it's not a lot of people know our brand. We have a 6 to 8% repeat customer base. So we've got customers that just come back time and time again, which is phenomenal for us. I would love to be more known. I would love to have the brand maybe on a wholesale basis.
Yep.
And 10% of our sales are already international, so we do ship internationally already. I think probably the main thing is just to help every fuller bust woman that we can, because it is so difficult. It's so destroying. I mean, the amount of changing rooms that I have been stuck in trying to try a dress on, and you can get it on your shoulders, and you just can't get it any further, and you're literally stuck. It's awful.
No, I feel exactly the same. Like, I completely know where you're coming from. I'm not quite the same size, but I have similar issues. And just recently, I've been looking for swimwear and just like something that fits, because so many swimwears now have like the clip on the back. But if you've got a clip on the back, and then if you're size 8, it's a small front and then a clip on the back. And I was looking forever. I was like, I can't find anything that's going to fit me under the bust and across the cup. So brands like yours are absolutely fantastic and so needed. And so often you see fashion just being based on a fit model that is just your average, but your average slim, or, you're just much more sort of like stick models. And even down the catwalk, even though they're trying to diversify and we're seeing sort of, it's still seen as curvy, but actually it's just a normal woman's body.
I mean, we fit. That's probably one of the big things that I took away from working as a buyer from other companies. We fit across all 3. So I am your kind of size small. So we also use fabrics. All of our garments that we make out of the UK are of really nice stretchy material. So we try and keep the sizing quite simple. I think when people have done fuller bust ranges in the past, it's quite complicated, the sizing, and I've looked at fuller bust clothing, small fuller bust clothing brands, and just thought, I don't know what size to order, I don't know what I am. And even some of the bigger like Bravissimo, but that does the fuller bras, when they did clothing, it was super curvy or super curvy or extra curvy, and I was like, I don't actually know which one of those sizes I would be. So we'll try and keep it really simple. Stretchy fabric obviously has loads of fabric across the chest. But we just want it to be as straightforward as possible for the customer, so that they they don't feel like they're trying to solve it. It just feels like it's easy. I know I'm normally a size 10. If I didn't have a double H, I would still be a size 10. So at Fairly Curved, I'm able to buy a size 10. It's as simple as that. And we still get lots of people that size up and send things back because they're far too big. And you're like, you don't have to size up here. We've taken that into account. We've put in, we fit on me as a size 10. Who is a 30 double H. We fit on my mum on a medium who's a 14 to 16. So she's about a 34 double H, 36 H. And then Linda, who's a size 22, 24. Now we fit on all three of us. And if the garment doesn't fit on us all, then we don't do it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really difficult. Really difficult for the wholesale bits that you're buying in, because normally they won't fit a 20 plus, lucky if they fit a size 18. So that's probably the frustration, is trying to get the wholesale bits that we do buy in for those suppliers to understand, sizes don't stop at 14. 14's our best selling size, and you're cutting that off because you're not offering it. But for all of our UK made, all of our exclusive designs, we fit on all three of us. And if the garment doesn't suit all three of us, then we don't do it, or we'll make changes to it. We don't just fit on one person.
Well,
That's needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Gap in the market from a fit point of view that's your USP, isn't it? Hands down. So have you sort of established what wholesalers work for you for that model then, and you should keep buying from them and keep partnering up with them?
Well, it's funny because you're talking about customers earlier, and we've probably got about 3 different customers. So we've got somebody who's like quite young. We've got a real wide age range. So our younger customers are okay with those garments that only fit up to a 14. Our older customers, we need to have that 14 to 16 to 18 size. So we just try and flex it. And there's some things that I know from the wholesale suppliers are going to work so well, and I wouldn't not want to have them in the range, because then I'm cutting it off for that customer. We just try and have a good mix. We just try and have a good mix, and just keep trying to educate them to say you're missing out on orders. You add in another size, just add in that 18 to 20. You don't even need to go up to 24 or 26. If you just add that 18 to 20 would make a massive difference for us. We have extended our sizes recently up to a 24, 26, and it hasn't been great, actually. So we get a lot of, because you've got curved in the name, we get a lot of feedback to say, how can you have that curved in your name and not offer plus size? It's really hard to say. We're not a plus size brand, we're small band, big cup size. But when we can offer it, we will. And we were at a stage this year where we were able to extend it, and it hasn't worked.
I think that's a really, really interesting point there, that because there are lots of brands that do work for plus sizes, and it's making sure that people understand the distinction, because it's not just Fairly Curved isn't just for plus sizes. Actually, it is for small petite women that have curves. And I think that needs to be the emphasis of it. It's so many people
fairly curved. I mean, it's like it says it in the name, we're fairly curved,
Yes. Yeah. And it's for everybody, and it's for your small sizes all the way up. And I think, that's the bit that's missing in the fashion industry at the moment. And
it
you're
might
feeling
it might be that the sizes, so our 24s, 26s that we've added in our basic t-shirts, which are our best selling lines, it might be that because we're not known for being plus size, people are not necessarily coming to us for that. So it's maybe a bit of education that we need to do in terms of marketing. But at the moment, our core sizes are still, 14 to 16 is our best selling size.
Yeah.
So when you're a small business and you've got limited cash flow, it's really disheartening when you're having customers to say, will you extend your sizes? And you do. And then that cash is basically just sat
through.
Really difficult.
That's tricky. So if you could be in any retailer, who would it be? Who would you aspire to be in?
I would love to be in John Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
We have had pop-ups recently in Bravissimo, which had always been, and we're on the frequently asked questions in Bravissimo when they stopped doing the clothes, so they recommend us now as a clothing alternative. So it came about, one of our customers was in the Bravissimo Glasgow store wearing one of our tops, and the store manager said, "Oh, I love your top, where's it from?" Fairly Curved. Told them, this manager was like, "Oh, I don't know that brand." This customer told the brand manager all about it. And she said, oh, we're really encouraged to do some small events. I wonder if she'd be interested in coming in. So I think we've had 3 or 4 pop-ups within the Glasgow shop now. And every time we do it, we get customers saying, can you not come down south? Can you not come to London? Can you not come to Edinburgh? Can you not come to Birmingham? So that's on the list to try and extend that. Fantastic for us for brand awareness. And so, I mean, it's just our ideal customer is the Bravissimo girl. So yeah, I think to maybe build on that relationship and do a bit more with them, it would be fantastic. John Lucy, yeah. I mean, next people like that do all sorts of brands online now, don't they?
Yeah, they're sort of taking over, aren't they, in terms of brand domination next.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely on the list for us to try and target this year.
I can't wait to see you in more places.
Oh,
Yeah,
thanks.
for sure. So we have a segment now that's called Retail Therapy. And I don't know if you've got something to share for us, but we'd love to hear if you've got any funny stories in buying or any
You want to get off your chest.
brand. Yeah.
Think probably story that sticks in my mind. I actually don't know how I got away with this. I am either a all or nothing girl. So if you're going out on a night out, I am either no, I am absolutely not drinking tonight because I have to work tomorrow, or I am out until the lights come on and I do not want to go home. And my first buying trip to Hong Kong, well, I'm sure you girls will know the nightlife in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I should have said, no, I'm working tomorrow, I have to go home, but I was absolutely on that I am out for the night. And we were all having such a good time. All ended up out all night. And in the morning, I get such bad hangovers. And in the morning, we were flying from Hong Kong to Shanghai. And in the morning, I just thought, I cannot do that. I just cannot survive this day. And we went down for breakfast and there was fries, like chips, in the buffet breakfast. And I don't know what made me do it, but I thought if they're selling chips, I can get a shandy. Surely I just need a shandy to just sort me out, get me through this day. So when the waiter came round to take the tea and coffee order, I was like, "Can I have a small shandy, please? Like a small shandy." And he brought me out the biggest pint glass with a big, huge handle, like an actual pint of lager shandy. And I thought, right, this is going to be the only thing that will get me through it. And just as I was taking a drink, the buying director came downstairs.
No.
Necking a pint at breakfast. He was like, what are you doing?
Oh.
What are you doing? I'm so sorry, but this is the only thing that's going to get me through today. And I can remember getting on the minibus to take us to the airport, and I do not remember the rest of the day. I don't know how I survived it. I was so ill.
Wow. That is brilliant. Oh my gosh.
And you know what it's did you because you just have to go off the flight and go straight to the factory, don't you? There's no rest.
I was going to say, did you go to any suppliers that day? Like, did you place any orders? Not that you remember. What turned up?
I know. Well, I didn't place any orders. I think we had sent the development packs beforehand, and I was just reviewing them. I think I had to do the same work again the next day because I literally can't remember it. I can't. It's awful.
I know. We've all been there. I've thrown up in showrooms. Like it's horrible.
It's always a great idea at the time, isn't it? You're in Hong Kong and it's a brilliant, brilliant night, but just took it far too far. And we'll never do that again.
Going with work hard, live hard. Was it live hard, work hard? Play hard.
It's play hard, work hard.
Work hard, play hard. Yeah. But I think that sums up buying, doesn't it? We all work really, really hard, but we deserve to have a proper blowout, especially in Hong Kong.
And I think that's one of the things that I've really brought to my own company is over the years seeing girls miss children's birthdays because of all the travel that they did and the long hours that they do. So we at our office, we are school hours only. We work and we miss the rush hour traffic. That used to drive me nuts. It's a long working day as it is. If I'm going to spend an hour in the car getting there stuck in traffic for a 20-minute or half-hour journey, it used to drive me insane. Same coming home. So we do school hours, we miss rush hour traffic, we have really flexible days, and there is no way that anybody in my team would ever miss their child's birthday or, something as important to them as a family. It's just life is too short and your children are too small. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I took from buying is you're so replaceable. I have worked with people that have thought when they've handed in their notice, oh my goodness, how is this company going to survive without them? And they might work their 3 months notice and 2 days later, there's somebody else in doing just as good a job and they've been forgotten about. So feel very strongly about, I mean, my children are a wee bit older now, so my son's 13, my daughter's 16, but I am home every day for them getting off the school bus at 4 o'clock. I am not missing out on that. And I know that there'll be times when they've moved out and they don't need me as much that I can put all the hours that I need to into Fairly Curved then. But at the moment, I am just not giving up on that.
But look at how well the brand is doing. You know, it just goes to show that you do not need to work 24/7 for someone else to you know, and upset that work-life balance. I mean, you've got a phenomenally successful brand and you still have an amazing, you know, family time. It's
And your team feel the same. I love that. You know, what applies to you applies to your team, and you're all in it together. And exactly as you say, you know, working for big brands like you are irreplaceable. And one thing I always said to my team was, you know, don't do it for the business, do it for yourself. Like, you need to enjoy your job. And if you feel like you need to work those extra hours because you want to make sure that you've got the range is to perfection, brilliant. But actually, if you feel like you've done a great job, you're happy with it, and you go home and you sleep soundly tonight, great. As Lindsay said, like, having that work-life balance is important. Don't do it for the business. You know, when you've had people saying, do this or I'll leave, and it's like, no, if you feel like you need to leave, then leave, and I wish you well. But if you feel like you want to work, then work, but you need to do it for yourself.
I mean, I remember working for a company and the director would come round. So say we worked 9 till 6 office hours, and the director would come round at 5 past, 10 past, 6:15, just stick his head in to see who was still there. And that was how he measured the team. And they might have only just started their work then. You know, they could have been
exactly. I had
day, but stayed on late at night to look better. And that is just not a culture that I ever want to have in my business.
No,
I believe I am so much more productive between 10 and 3. I've dropped my kids to school. I know that they're happy. I'm not bringing any guilt to the workplace. I'm not taking a lunch break. I will eat quickly at my desk and I will work as hard as I possibly can until 3 o'clock. And at 3 o'clock, 3:30, I am out the door and I am going to be with my children. I don't want to be here at 3 o'clock looking at the clock thinking, have they got home from school okay? I should be there with them. Are they doing their homework the way they should be? Don't get me wrong, I get my laptop out at night all the time. Sometimes when they're on their activities, I work at the weekends and I do a lot of my photography at home. But I want to be the best business owner I can be, but more importantly, I want to be a present mum.
Yeah.
And you make it work for you, and you make it work around those hours. And exactly as you said, you're efficient, you know, you make sure that's done, then you do that. You can put your all into it. You're not distracted. You don't go and hang around at a tea point or dilly-dally or chat about, you know, which is nice to do, chatting to people. But when you're a mum, often I find you just need to wake up, get it done, focus on something, finish up, focus on something else. And as you say, you can pick your laptop up later and you just make it work around your life.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I would say that's probably one of the most, you know, you talk about highlights for the business. The highlight for me is that I'm able to do that for me and others, to have a flexible, efficient working environment, you know, you're not dragging out the day and you're actually able to have a really good work-life balance.
Yeah, and it's sustainable. You're going to be able to sustain that, you know, because you're doing well and you've got that work process. So it's a sustainable method. So many businesses should I just want to strangle them sometimes, you know. It's not working. It's just not working. We've got to pivot.
I used to take an hour's lunch break, and then by, you know, you get that 3:30 slump. We were just like, you know, I just like shorten the working day, shorten the lunch. Not that I would used to take a lot of lunch breaks when I was buying for people, because you never used to get them, but you were just worn out, weren't you? You just think, see, if you just shortened today and everybody just worked harder, faster, you would get a lot more done.
Less meetings. Yeah, we'll do it.
Less meetings. We don't have any meetings in Fairly Curved. We don't.
Can I have a job then? Wow.
It's just like, let's get to the point. What do we need to do? Let's make a decision. Let's get it done. We don't need everybody's opinion. You know, just involve the people that are doing the work. Make it happen. Doesn't need to be a big, huge hours meeting. It can be a quick call. very flexible with, especially Yagoda, who is our creative assistant. So she works quite a bit away from the office. So she's 2 trains and a bus. I would time it so that I can pick her up at the train station. She got off a train one day. We were starting to be a bit later, and her train ticket was like £4 cheaper because it was off peak. And I was like, it was 20 minutes difference for me. And I was like, just get that train every day. £4.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Makes so much
Just get that
sense.
train every day and I'll pick you up from the train station. So if I didn't pick her up at the station, she would be a bus on top of that. So if she can work from home, she works from home. She does not need to come into the office for me and do that journey every day if she can work from home.
So nice to hear that flexibility. So nice. Listen, we have talked for an hour now.
Can you believe it?
Jayne, thanks so much for joining us, and your story is absolutely incredible, and we will make sure we share links to your website and your socials in our show notes.
Thank you so much for your story. It's been brilliant. Thank you.
It's been lovely chatting to you both. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jayne.
Bye.
Bye.
If you've enjoyed listening to this episode, please, please, please like and subscribe and leave a review. And if you already have, thank you, thank you, thank you. We all need a bit of retail therapy, and this is the perfect time for you to offload about that super cringeworthy story. We would love to hear from you all, your funny stories and experiences, or even any dilemmas. And maybe we can help, or at least find someone who can. And don't worry, we will keep these anonymous and remove any names and brands. We would also love to hear from you on any topics you would like us to talk about. Please send all of these into buyingandbeyond@gmail.com or drop us a DM via our Instagram page @buyingandbeyond. Kate, are you a drama queen? No. Drama just makes things interesting. That's true. All these thoughts and opinions are our own and based on our own experiences working for a wide variety of retailers. These are all in the hope to entertain and educate, and not to reflect negatively on any place we currently or have previously worked.